How's it going, guys? This week we're going to take a look at the Corrupted Grandmaster strike going live this week in Destiny, and upon completing said strike, you will be awarded with the Militia's Birthright, a kinetic grenade launcher. Of course, you can get the adept version of this gun by completing the Grandmaster version. So with that, a word from our sponsors, and we'll get started with previous Grandmaster videos. We're going to go over me and my team's loadout. For me, I ran Thunder Crash Titan with Armamentarium with my Pulse Grenade Titan build that I posted, I believe, like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago at this point. I ran Bastion, a kinetic fusion rifle, which has Unstoppable on it intrinsically because I didn't want to run a grenade launcher and spend 7 energy just to have them unstop champion, so I ran Bastion. I also ran the Staccato Scout Rifle for some solar shields as well as for overload. This had shoot to loot incandescent, so it had a very nice utility based role. And for my heavy, I ran my Sail Spy Pitch Glass as Corrupted is an arc burn strike, so get a little more damage out of our arc based heavies. For mods, I ran Explosive Wellmaker, Well of Ordnance, Elemental Charge, Heal Thyself, and Low Entropy Conductor to help me stun those unstoppable champions in case my Bastion didn't have any ammo in it. First teammate we're going to look at is a Void Hunter running the Deadfall Anchor Super for his Shadow Shot, Tether, whatever you want to call it, with Gerfalcons. They ran Wither Horde for Unstoppable, Funnel Web to deal with those Void Shields that are just aplenty in this particular strike, as well as dealing with Overload champions, and Taipan because it fit his whole theme of Void weapons, and linears are still very, very good right now. For mods, he ran Bountiful Wells, Well Utility, Elemental Ordnance, Font of Wisdom, and Reaping Willmaker to feed back into his class ability so he could dodge and proc those volatile rounds with Gerfalcons, as well as getting his super back faster with Font of Wisdom. Very nice. Pretty much had a tether every time we needed it. Font of Wisdom is just an amazing mod to have pretty much in any build. And my final teammate was a Thunder Crash Titan using Heart of Inmost Light with Storm Grenades. Storm Grenades are very good. Arc Burn Strike. Storm Grenades may have gotten nerfed, but they are still very nice. He ran Ignition Code for his unstoppable champions. Le Monarch, as its Void, deals with those Void shields very well, and it has Overload on it intrinsically, and honestly, Le Monarch is one of the best Overload weapons in the game that comes with it intrinsically. And for his heavy, he ran Storm Chaser as, again, Arc Strike, Arc Linear. Storm Chaser puts out a ton of damage. And for mods, he only ran Weaken Clear to obviously apply his debuff from his grenade launchers, and Loosen Finisher to help make heavy ammo, so we would have heavy ammo to deal with the amount of champions in this strike as well as the boss when we got there. Now with the loadouts gone over, we can now move on to the strike guide of this video. Upon loading into this strike, you're going to be met immediately with an Overload champion. What you're going to do is melt this Overload champion immediately and then take the right-hand path all the way up to the front of this area. Now, when you do this, do not shoot or kill any other enemy in this area while you're moving up that right-hand side because A, nothing's going to shoot at you, there's no reason to do it, and by doing this, we have a chance to completely avoid the 2 overloads that can spawn in this area. When you get to the front of this area, just deal with the boss as quickly as you possibly can. Dump heavy into it, debuff it, throw whatever you have for abilities at him, and get rid of him. The faster you do this, the higher your chance of avoiding those overload champions. Now, if those overloads do spawn, obviously just deal with them as a team, but once that boss is defeated, go through the big taken Ascendant doorway that's going to be right there on your right hand side moving forward, and go through this Ascendant area. There used to be enemies in here, now there's not. Just get through there, don't die to gravity, and you should be okay, because now we're going to get into the elevator. Once we are in the elevator, deal with the handful of scions that are there, so this way they don't multiply like rabbits, and then begin charging these Ascendant batteries. Toss them to one of your teammates, have them hold it or drop it. Once you have 2 of them that are charged, you can then start the elevator. When the elevator starts, in the front of it, there's going to be a bunch of scions that spawn. Deal with them, because about 2 seconds later, all of these shielded adds that you have to deal with are going to spawn. Throw these Ascendant batteries at them to remove their shields, defeat them, and then the second wave is going to happen. Now, what I recommend is not defeating that big yellow bar Centurion just yet. Charge a few more of these Ascendant batteries, then defeat him to start that second wave, and it's going to be the same thing again. Scions are going to spawn, and then then the shielded ads are going to spawn right after that. Throw your supers if you have them. The tether is very, very nice here because by destroying one of the shields, you'll then chain the damage. Everything that's tethered is going to die, and you have a chance to break the other shields as well. Once you defeat all of the shielded ads here, the elevator stops and a big door opens up, revealing a bunch of hive, a few arc shielded knights, I believe, as well as an unstoppable ogre. Deal with the ogre, move forward, deal with the shrieker that's just hanging out in the sky, deal with the ads, the arc shielded knights have a chance to just run into the next room and hide around corners where they can assassinate you, so be mindful of that. Once we're past that particular area, we're then going to be met with 2 more unstoppable ogres. The first one is going to be right in front of you. Deal with him, get a finisher off if you need ammo, and wait for the other ogre to push up towards you, as there are 3 or 4 shriekers in this particular area and they will melt you. Again, deal with the unstoppable champion, get the finisher if you need to get the finisher for ammo, and then deal with the shriekers. If you have a void hunter here whose entire build specializes in going invisible constantly, they can run through this entire area after defeating the 2 champions, never trigger the shrieker, get to the ogre boss room, and the shriekers will despawn, allowing you and your teammates to push forward without ever having to deal with the shriekers. But if you don't have that particular setup on your team, you can just deal with the shriekers, move up the stairs, and get ready to deal with the ogres. Now, this particular boss area is divided into 2 rooms, essentially. The first one, which is where you start, the regular realm. You're going to have an ogre spawn in the center, as well as an unstoppable ogre. Deal with the unstoppable ogre first, as that's what helps you get your platinum, and it's a lot easier to deal with him immediately than wait for him to start roaming around when you get sent into the other realm. Deal with the unstoppable ogre, jump up to the right hand side and get prepared to get teleported to the castaway realm. Now, once in the castaway realm, it's pretty much the same exact thing. You're just going to deal with the ads that spawn that are coming up the stairs at you. They're going to be 2 unstoppable centurions that are pushing up those stairs, and deal with them. The biggest thing that I can give you for a tip here is be mindful of your timer, because you don't want to be sent into that castaway realm or vice versa sent back into the regular realm unprepared, because what could happen is you could get sent back to either one of those realms and there could be an ad right on top of you ready to kill you immediately. And if you die in one realm or the other, your teammates can't res you until they go back. So just be mindful of that and be prepared when the timer is running out. Once all the champions have been dealt with, you can then burst down both of the bosses and then move past this area. If you're in the Ascendant realm, the Castaway realm, there'll be a portal in the back of the room. Take it while being mindful of the shriekers that are going to start shooting at you. Once you jump through the portal, you then have to deal with a bunch more unstoppable champions. There are 4 unstoppable champions you have to deal with in this next area. 2 of them are going to be right at the gate, basically. Deal with them, stun them, kill them, get your finishers where you need to. Walk down the stairs a little ways. There are going to be 2 more unstoppable champions. Deal with them as well. Same thing. Stun them, kill them, get your ammo if you need it. And then there are going to be 2 overload champions as well. One on the right hand side and one on the left hand side. Take care of both of them and move forward. Now, in this particular area, there's also a little mini boss. You do not need to fight him. Once you get rid of the unstoppables and overloads here, you can move on and do not have to deal with him. He can cost you and your team some unneeded reses. Once you go through that big Ascendant door, you're then going to be met with the drop down of what could be the end running wipe. Here, if all 3 of you jump and die, it's going to be a wipe. You're going back to orbit. So what I like to do is send one person at a time, because once they get down there, it's going to pull you to the next area. In this area, it is a series of jumping and platforming and just a bunch of ads. On this first platform, there's going to be an overload champion. Now, sometimes, and most of the time here, you can aggro him and he'll walk right off the map, give you your points, and you can move forward. If not, obviously, just deal with it normally. You're going to keep going forward until you get to a big drop down where there's a big platform, and there's going to be a bunch of minotaurs and thralls. Deal with them. The minotaurs are invisible, so sometimes they can be a little hard to see. Peek out over the edge, deal with another overload champion, push forward, and then of course deal with another overload champion. Once you're through this part, we're on to the actual final boss of this strike, which can give people some trouble. What you're going to do is you're going to walk forward, trigger the boss fight, and jump back to this little island essentially that has a pillar on it. You're going to hide behind the pillars here, dealing with the ads. Once the ads have been dealt with, one of your teammates is going to go and grab another one of those Ascendant batteries. You're going to charge it, passing it back and forth. Now, before you get here, you guys need to decide, are you going to try to one-phase this boss, or are you going to go the distance? To one-phase her, all you simply need to do is throw the ball at her, get the ads to spawn, kill all the ads while not damaging her at all, get another Ascendant battery charged up, move to the front of the room where the portal would normally spawn, start damaging her. Throw your supers at her, your heavies, or whatever. When she swaps to the other side or puts her shield up, throw that other Ascendant battery you had charged, her shield will go down and you should be able to DPS her, finish her off, and never have to go into the next area. However, if that doesn't happen and you do have to go to the next area, it's a very simple process. All you need to do is just keep moving forward, dealing with the ads. There's an overload champion first. Deal with all these ads. Deal with the ads in the next little area where she's also shooting at you. There's going to be a solar knight. Deal with him first, as defeating him is what gets her to just go away. Move forward while being mindful of the rocks here that can just absolutely knock you off your path. On the second platform where we're going to sit, you can then shoot up and deal with the final champion of this strike, an unstoppable champion that's just hanging out up there. Get rid of him, move forward to the actual boss arena. Now, in this arena, a lot of things stay the same. You still need to charge Ascendant batteries to throw at her to break her shield, but be mindful as she really likes to try to throw you off the edges here. She'll do her little booping mechanic, her knockback mechanic, and that'll just send you flying with very little and few ways to recover. Every time you throw a ball at her, some ads are going to spawn. Deal with them, damage the boss, more ads are going to spawn. The only thing to really be mindful when you're up in this particular area is the solar shielded captains that can spawn that can absolutely one-shot you because their taken blights are arc damage and they will absolutely nuke you. So be mindful of that. And then there's going to be another battery, the last one that's going to spawn in the center, which is then going to allow you to throw it at her and defeat the boss. Now, once this happens, you'll be sent back. You'll get the line, get your loot that falls on that right-hand side of your screen, your shards, your weapons, all that good stuff, and then you have completed the Corrupted Nightfall. Now, this Nightfall, again, like I said, is a little tricky. You might not get it on your first try, but don't stop trying. This Nightfall is intimidating, but it is not very difficult. Challenging? Yes. Difficult? No. So with that, that is the end of the video. I hope everybody gets some kind of tips and tricks or gleans some kind of information from this particular video, and I hope you all have a good week.